Sports betting used to be a weekend thrill. Now it's an always-open casino in your pocket, built to keep you tapping, chasing, and paying attention, not watching all day long. Back in the old days, sports betting had walls. You had to know a bookie, drive to a sportsbook, or at least put effort into it. That effort was a speed bump between an impulse and a mistake. Then the wall fell. In 2018, the Supreme Court struck down the federal law that blocked most states from authorizing sports wagering. States didn't just legalize it, they competed to launch it. Leagues flipped from keep gambling away from our sport to partner with our sport. TV networks discovered a new kind of ad buyer that never gets tired. And the numbers exploded fast. In 2023, Americans wagered about $119.84 billion on legal sports betting. And sportsbooks kept about $10.92 billion in revenue. That money doesn't show up as one big bill. It shows up as thousands of tiny taps, tiny deposits, tiny just one more bets, stitched into everyday life. Here's the part that makes this boom different from Vegas. Vegas is a place. Your phone is a companion. You take it to class. You take it to work. You take it to bed. So when betting moves into the phone, it moves into your routine. And when something moves into your routine, it doesn't need your permission anymore. It becomes automatic. That's why the industry focuses so hard on one group, young men. Not because older people don't bet, but because younger brains are more reactive, more social, and more sensitive to fast rewards. Also because sports already matters to them. The app doesn't have to create interest, it only has to redirect it. The pitch sounds harmless, make the game more interesting. But the real pitch is deeper. Turn your attention into a habit, and turn that habit into a payment plan. And once you see that, you start to notice what's really happening on game day. It's not just a matchup on the field. It's a matchup between human impulse and a machine built to predict it.
Role gambling plays in sports today. America has recently brought its age-old love of sports betting out of the shadows and onto our phones. And this has created an all-time mismatch, pitting man against machine. Gamblers, overwhelmingly young men, versus gambling companies armed with sophisticated AI, data, and engineering, enticing fans to make snap bets not just on games, but on every play within games. The early results? Billions for gambling companies, leagues, and state governments. And a growing population of sports bettors.
How sports betting moved into your phone. The trap begins with speed. Sportsbooks didn't just put gambling online. They put it on the same device you use for alarms, group chats, money transfers, and boredom. That matters because speed changes behavior. When something takes time, you think. When something happens instantly, you feel. On modern apps, a bet can happen in seconds. Deposit. Pick a line. Confirm. Done. If you lose, you don't have to leave. You don't even have to pause. A new line is already flashing. A new game has already lived somewhere in the world. And the app isn't shy about it. It will suggest wagers you didn't even search for, because the goal is not one bet. The goal is constant action. Then there's live betting and micro betting. Instead of one decision before kickoff, you get dozens of decisions during the game. Will the next drive end in a touchdown? Will the next pitch be a strike? Will the next play be a run? These bets are sold as more control, but they often do the opposite. They keep you in a loop where your mood rises and falls every few minutes. A lot of apps add features that look like help, but mainly keep you engaged. The cash out button pulls you back to the screen mid-game. Bonus bets sound like free money, but usually can't be withdrawn as cash and must be wagered again. Even the word boost is a nudge, because it makes you feel like you're beating the system while you're still paying the system. This is where the technology becomes unfair. The app can refresh odds constantly using algorithms. It can use gigantic databases, and it can personalize offers based on how you behave. If you tend to bet late at night, you'll get late-night nudges. If you chase losses, you'll get boosts right after a loss. If you like long shots, you'll get parlays. It starts to feel like the app gets you. It does. That's the point. And because the bets come so fast, you stop thinking in dollars. You start thinking in units. It's just 5. It's just 10. But $5 repeated 40 times is not $5. It's 200. The product hides the total by breaking it into tiny pieces. If you've ever wondered why a calm person can suddenly get sweaty and angry over a random tennis match they don't even care about, this is why. The game on the screen is not the sport. The game on the screen is chasing the next dopamine hit.
I think that live betting is like sports betting on crack. It's just constant action, constant opportunity to bet more. That dissociated hypnotic state, that dangerous state where you're not thinking straight and you're just gambling more and more, that can happen with people that are live betting.
That is also a very attractive prospect for the sports books because I might be comfortable betting $20 pregame. I might bet $10 on a micro bet 10 times. Suddenly,
The advertising takeover of sports. Now let's talk about the advertising flood, because it's not just a lot of ads. It's a full cultural takeover. Betting companies bought their way into the vibe of sports. They sponsor segments. They sponsor studios. They sponsor halftime. They sponsor the same highlights your little cousin watches. One year, sports betting companies spent over $430 million on national TV ads. You feel that without even tracking it. You see the same words again and again. Risk-free, bonus bets, boost, cash out, every game. The message is always urgency. It's never, take it slow. And the ads aren't just on TV, they're built into the sports ecosystem. Odds appear on broadcasts like a scoreboard. Pre-game shows bring in betting experts and build a parlay on air. Stadiums display QR codes. Some venues have sportsbooks inside the building. That matters because kids see it too. A 12-year-old might not have an account, but he can learn the language. He can learn that a game isn't only a game, it's a money machine. On campuses, it spreads like a trend. Someone hits a long shot and posts the screenshot. That screenshot doesn't show the 10 losing slips before it. It shows the one moment that looks like proof. And the reason parlays go viral is simple. A straight bet is boring. A parlay is a story. If these 5 things happen, I win 500. It sounds like skill. It feels like a puzzle. It also happens to be the bet type sportsbooks love the most. Why sportsbooks push parlays? The industry's smartest move wasn't legalization, it was changing what people bet on. If most customers only placed simple bets, the business would be smaller and slower. So apps push the product that makes the most money. Parlays, especially same-game parlays. A parlay is when you stack multiple outcomes into one ticket. You can bet that a team wins, a quarterback throws 2 touchdowns, and a certain player gets a certain number of yards. All of it has to hit. Miss one and you lose everything. To a casual bettor, a parlay feels like knowledge. I watch every game. I know how this team plays. But sports are chaotic. A single injury, a penalty, a weird bounce, a coach changing strategy. Any of that can kill one leg. And because you were so close, the brain doesn't treat it like a clean loss. It treats it like unfinished business. That is why parlays are perfect for trapping a generation. They are exciting, social, and screenshot friendly. They create big I could be rich tonight moments. And they keep you engaged for the whole game, because you're tracking 10 things at once. The math is the key. A typical straight bet might give the sportsbook a relatively small edge. But with a same-game parlay, the sportsbook's advantage can be massively higher. One report explains it in blunt terms. The book might keep around 5 to 6% on basic bets, but as much as 30% on same-game parlays. That's a different product. That's not fun with friends. That's a high-margin drain. So when you see profit boosts, notice what they're boosting. It's rarely a simple bet. It's usually a parlay. The boost is the bait. The structure is the hook.
A typical bet on whether a team will cover the spread, the type of bet that used to be the bread and butter of Las Vegas sportsbook or barroom bookies, would deliver a 5 to 6% return to the sportsbook. A single game parlay, by comparison, will typically return up to 30% to the sportsbook.
All my kids are addicted.
This makes these bets sort of the credit default swap of sports betting. It's sort of like that scene in The Big Short with the Jenga pieces. That's what these are. You're putting together a financial product that as you build these things up, it's worse and worse for you, right?
The VIP system that rewards losing. After parlays come VIP programs, and this is where the boom stops looking like entertainment and starts looking like extraction. If you lose enough money, you don't get kicked out. You get upgraded. VIP status sounds like you're special. In many cases, it means you are a very important loser. Some apps assign hosts whose job is to keep you active. They text you. They email you early in the morning and late at night. They offer free tickets, free merch, personalized bonuses, and higher betting limits. Think about what that does to someone who's already chasing. It turns a private habit into a relationship. The host becomes the friendly face of your relapse. They're not yelling at you to gamble. They're inviting you. They're making it feel like a perk, not a problem. And because everything happens through a phone, it's easy to hide. A gambling problem doesn't always look like a person sitting at a slot machine. It can look like a guy at a family dinner staring at his screen. It can look like someone going to the bathroom to check a message and firing off 10 bets. This is one reason gambling can get so serious before anyone notices. With drugs or alcohol, people often see physical signs. With gambling, the first sign is usually money, and money is the last thing people want to admit they're losing. The scary part is that these companies can often see the problem before your friends can. They can see how often you deposit, how often you play after midnight, how quickly you rebet after a loss. They can see the pattern, and they can decide whether to slow you down or speed you up. If you're wondering why a generation that grew up with social media is so vulnerable here, it's because the same mechanics are at work. Personalized nudges, streak-like behavior, rewards that arrive at random times, and a product that never sleeps.
Typically, DraftKings and FanDuel were the apps I used, and they just bombard you all the time. I would get emails from VIP hosts, 6 a.m., 2 a.m., middle of the day, middle of the night, trying to get away from those apps.
When sports betting turns into addiction. So what does this trap look like in real life? It often starts small and social, then turns private and exhausting. People stop watching games for fun and start watching for rescue. They get less interested in the sport and more interested in the result. They promise, I'll stop after this weekend, and then the next weekend arrives with another promo. The money damage can be brutal, but the mental damage can be worse. Problem gamblers describe a shame loop. Bet, lose, chase, hide, panic, repeat. And when the money runs out, the brain doesn't calmly accept it. It treats it like a crisis, because the whole system trained you to believe the next bet could fix everything. That's why experts warn that gambling can lead to extreme outcomes, including self-harm. The feeling isn't just I lost money. It's I destroyed trust, time, and my future, and I don't know how to face people. That isolation is part of the trap, because isolation makes relapse easier. Meanwhile, sports itself gets contaminated. Athletes get abuse from bettors who think a player ruined their parlay. Fans start suspecting games are fixed. Even when there's no corruption, the constant betting talk makes everything feel suspicious. And still, the industry keeps expanding. Because there's a bigger plan than sports. Sports betting is a gateway product. Once a user is comfortable depositing money into a gambling app, it's much easier to sell them casino games, slots, and new prediction-style markets. The menu expands, and the user just stays inside the same habit. How to escape the sports betting trap. So what can actually help? Not guilt. Not just be responsible. Real help looks like friction and guardrails, limits that can't be changed in 2 taps, cooling off periods, fewer inducements, less marketing where kids are watching, and real funding for research and treatment. If you're a viewer and you want one simple rule, it's this: if you have to hide your betting or you feel angry and desperate after a loss, you're not doing entertainment anymore. Step back before the habit becomes your identity. Block the apps, turn off notifications, and talk to someone you trust. The earlier you interrupt the loop, the easier it is to get your life back. If you bet, treat it like fireworks. Rare, planned, and safely contained. Turn off notifications, avoid parlays, and never bet with rent money or credit. If you feel you can't stop, that's not weakness. It's design. Step away, tell someone, and get help early today, before it costs you everything.